Welcome to Basement MTG with me, a nerd in his basement. In this video I'll be going through the contents of a red-black deck that I call the Triple Cross deck. Make sure to check out the other videos of this deck being tested against the Battle of the Horde deck or the Defeat a God deck. Those videos obviously don't showcase all the cards in the deck, what's involved in it. That's what this video will do. So we'll get right into it. First of all, Swamp and Mountain, of course. Bloodfell Caves adds a Swamp or a Mountain, but comes in tapped, gain a life. Tramway Station adds red or black, but you can tap forward, sack it to draw. Nice little late game thing if you have enough mana. Need to get some cards back in the hand. This is kind of the same deal, except they only add one of the color, but it costs less, just 2 to sack it to draw a card. And Arcane Lighthouse. I really like this card in the deck as it makes your opponent's creatures lose Hexproof and Shroud and can't gain it for the turn, which is perfect for this deck for the next reason. The next thing I'll show you, these sorceries and instants in this deck. This deck is all revolved around gaining control of your opponent's creatures, attacking them with it, and then sacking them. So these first stack of cards here are all gain control of creature or artifact or vehicle, and tap it, gain haste. With the only real difference being some of them, like this card, can get you a treasure token. Something like this can cast a card 2 or less, carry Sev's expertise. All the rest is like Act of Treason, which is just the generic gain control. Untap it, gains haste until end of turn. Hijack, same deal. Gain control of a target artifact or creature. Untap it, gains haste. So those are all essentially doing the same thing. Now that is the same with these black ones here. Skip through down to here. These are all sacrifice an artifact or creature to draw 2 cards. Village Rites does exactly that. Deadly Dispute does that, but 1 more mana and you can get a treasure token. Little mana to use for later. And Corrupted Conviction is the same as Village Rites. It's a 1 mana instant. Additional cost, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. So just between these instants and sorceries, the whole purpose being gain control of your opponent's creature, attack them with it, or whoever is the most threatening, I suppose. Or if you just want to add insult to injury, you go ahead and you attack the person you stole it from. Then to add a little extra cherry on top, sack it to draw some cards. This is a sorcery that also essentially does that, but it will make them also sacrifice a permanent that shares a type. So if you're grabbing one of their creatures, attack them with it, sack it to draw a card, and they got to sack another creature. Then we got Fling. Same deal, you grab their creature, sack it, have it deal damage to its power to a creature or player. Mob Rule and Mass Mutiny, slightly different, but Mob Rule, you can either gain control of all creatures 4 or greater, or 3 or less. It's a nice way to gain multiples at once. Same with Mass Mutiny. I'm usually playing multiplayer games with these decks. So, for each opponent, gain control of a creature, they gain haste and untap them. They can only gain control of it till end of turn, but it's nice to have it for each opponent. You know, you don't want to discriminate in a multiplayer game. You want to grab a little something from everybody. Then just a shred of sanity. Just a way to, maybe later in the game, if you're starting to run dry, you play that, you can get an instant card and a sorcery card from your graveyard, then you exile this. You do have to discard a card. But, as you see, most all of the gain controls are sorceries, all of the sackings are instants, so it's a nice way to get both cards of a combo back. Now, the only enchantment artifacts I have in here: Dictate of Erebos, flash, when a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. It's an excellent thing to do if you're grabbing one of their creatures. Attack them with it, sack it, flash this in, or already have it in. Once that creature dies, well, each opponent has to also sack a creature. Pyromancer's Goggles, a great card as well for this deck, because you tap to add a mountain to your mana pool. And when you use this mana for any instance of sorceries, then you can copy those spells. Which is great, especially too if you're using Mass Mutiny, Mob Rule, things like that. Then you can copy things like Fling, get rid of a little bit more. It's nice that all these cards too are low mana. They're all 2 or 1 mana. So you can either play multiples, maybe get some copies of the game controls, even just these, you know, adding red to copy that and gain control of 2 things rather than 1. These are the planeswalkers in the deck. One is Angrath. It's got each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life. -3, guess what? Gain control of target creature until end of turn and untap it. Gains haste. Now this card is basically the point of the deck all in one for the -3, because then you sack it if its converted mana cost is 3 or less, so getting rid of it there. Or -8, each opponent loses life equal to the number of cards in his or her graveyard, which hopefully you've been putting their creatures in there and it might be up a little bit. Chandra Hope's Beacon. Kind of the same deal with the Pyromancer's Goggles. You can tap, or when you cast an instant sorcery, you can copy it. Choose new copies. That's just an ability without doing any type of plussing or minusing. But it's also great to have that +2, add 2 mana in any combination. +1, exile top 5 cards, play any instant sorceries from among them. Or -X, just deal a damage to up to 2 target creature, or 2 targets. Could be creature or player or planeswalker. Then Obnixilis, the Adversary. Awesome little card as well for this. Low mana, only 3 mana cost. Casualty X, so when he comes in, you know, you can gain control of their creature, bring him in for the sack to get a copy of him. You can then have each opponent lose 2 life unless they discard a card. If you control a demon or devil, you can gain 2 life. You can create the devil, where if he dies, or a devil token, and when it dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. -7 as target player draws 7 and loses 7. Now that's not too bad if you've been flinging or attacking them with their own creatures. They're low on life. Maybe you can kill them off. Or, you know what, if you got enough life, draw 7, and losing 7 life isn't too bad. But there's a lot of draw cards in this deck. I don't know if I'd ever use it for that really, but it'd be more just for the casualty to sack it, get a copy of them. You could even just do the +1 over and over again and just having people lose 2 life unless they discard a card. That's always good too. On to the creatures. There's 4 Stormclaw Ragers. It's a great card for this deck. 3 mana 2/2. Tap 1 to sack another creature or artifact. Put a 1/1 counter on them and draw a card. You activate that only as a sorcery, but as you can see, we're trying to gain control of things, and then we need ways to sack them. Speaking of gaining control, Jeering Instigator. It's a morph card, so you put him in for the morph cost, which is 3 to put him as the 2/2 colorless creature. Then pay 3 to have him flip face up, and it's just like Act of Treason, where you gain control of a creature until end of turn, untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. This is a new addition to the deck from the Final Fantasy set Kefka, Dancing Mad. It's a nice little 6/6, indestructible on your turn. But this is a nice way to, let's say you've been sacking their good creatures, they bring out nice beefy creatures or cool things, and you take them, attack them, sack them. Well, this thing right here, you can get them in maybe later game, and you can exile a card at random from each opponent's graveyard, and cast any number of them. Each player who I cast a spell that way loses life to its mana value. So that's nice when you've filled up some people's graveyards, and maybe you can get those things back permanently and deal a little damage while you're at it. Now this card, I'm going to find these other two. These two are essentially doing the same thing. They're entering and acting like an act of treason, gain control of a creature till end of turn, gains haste, yada yada. Except one is a 3/3 with haste, one's a 5/5 flying. Nice way to just have some creatures in there while still getting your gain control effect. Then maybe tapping 1 to sack them, draw some cards. You know, same with Village Rites, wherever that is. Tapping 1, sack them, draw some cards. The Whisper Blood Littergeist, I don't even know. Tap, sack 2 creatures, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice little thing to pair with, let's say you're with Chandra or the Pyromancer's Goggle. You gain control of 2 things. Let's say you've lost some creatures this game. Well, you can tap, sacrifice both of those things to get cards back from your graveyard. Keep things in play. This is also nice for when you're gaining multiple creatures. Voldaren Pariah. Sack 3 creatures, transform it. When it becomes transformed, 6/5 flying, that you can choose an opponent to sack 3 creatures. Squee is a nice way if you're not gaining control of other people's creatures. You can sack this one to get some card drawing going on, get through your deck to get some of the things maybe you're missing out on, and at your upkeep you get them back to your hand. So you can always do it again. You can beef up Stormclaw Rager, and it's kind of an endless cycle of doing that over and over again. Stalking Vengeance. Haste 5/5. Whenever another creature I control dies, deals damage equal to its power to target player. That adds a nice little cherry on top to it as well. When you gain control of their creature, attack them, sack it, and have it deal some power to them as well. Damage to its power. Excuse me. Body Dropper. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, get a 1/1 counter on them. Also has a sack mechanic to give him menace. Ghoulcaller Gisa. It's a great little sack card as well. You're gaining control of some stuff. Well, sack a creature and get some zombies where the sack creature's power. Kind of token up. That way maybe you can even sack some of those. If you're not getting any more gain control spells, generate some creatures in the deck. Ayara, Widower of the Realm. Another sack, another creature, an artifact. Deal X damage to an opponent or battle. Gain X life where it's the mana value. You can also pay 6 or 5 and 2 life to transform it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, turn up to 1 target artifact or creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, gains haste, and exile it at the end step. This happens to be the alt art of the card, which I do like the alt art of this card. It's pretty sweet. Flesh Carver. Another creature for some sacking. Has Intimidate. Tap 2 to sack another creature. Put 2 1/1 counters on him. If he dies, you get an XX token, where X was his power. Greven. Predator Captain. Gets plus X plus 0, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Whenever he attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you draw cards equal to its power and lose life equal to its toughness. Now that one can kind of be a little hurtful on you, but it's good. You gain control of a creature, you attack with him to sack it, draw the cards. It's always nice to keep drawing, keep filling your hand with these instant sorceries or ways to gain control and sack. Jury, Master of the Review. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Jury, Master of the Review. When Jury dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Now this is also just another way, this card here, Alicia Who Laughs at Fate. It's a good way to get cards back from your graveyard, your own cards if they've been dying. First strike, put a 1/1 counter on it when she attacks. Raid, at the beginning of your end step, if you did attack, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to the power from the graveyard right to the battlefield. So it's pretty nice for, let's say, someone's getting rid of even just Stormclaw. You know, there's not a lot of high mana cards in this deck, maybe a few, but even just attacking once, getting the 1/1 counter and making her power 3, then already you can get Stormclaw Rager at the end step back onto the battlefield or something else that may have died. Maybe even Squee back early so you don't have to cast him again. You know, Blood Dropper, there's a lot of low mana things that can just come right back. Jeering Instigator, maybe not the best one to come back as you need it to morph, but you could always sack it to draw cards. Anyway, a lot of options, a lot of fun with this deck usually. Gets people a little upset, but that's alright. Anyway, if you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the other videos where this deck is testing against the Battle of the Horde or the Defeat of God. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.